A very good morning to everyone and a warm welcome to the event Compassionate Moms. Compassionate is the heart of every little thing we do. It is the dearest quality we possess. Yet, all too often, it can be cast aside with consequences too tragic to speak of. To lose our compassion, we lose it is to be human, and I'm sure nobody here wants to lose themselves and their humanity. Next slide, please. Today, we are going to hear some stories from mothers about their journey of compassion through this event's Compassionate Moms, which is being organized by World Animal Protection India and STRAW. World Animal Protection India is a non government organization currently based in Delhi. We are one of the world's leading animal welfare organizations and have been protecting animals around the world for over 50 years. We act for animals at a global level using United Nations consultative status to give them a voice and put animal welfare on the global agenda so that we can showcase that what's good for animals, it's good for the world. STRAW, Stray Relief and Animal Welfare Organization India is a registered non-profit organization that works for the welfare of animals through the medium of humane and animal welfare education. Our efforts enable us to significantly influence school students to develop empathy towards people, compassion towards animals, and care of the natural world so that they can make a difference and bring about a positive change. We have our speakers from different cities in this webinar. So let us all hear some great stories of compassion through their own voice. Once the speakers are done with their narration of the story, we will be clearing your doubts regarding plant protein diet. You can either type in your questions in the chat or raise your hand to ask a query. Before we start, we have certain guidelines. Next slide, please. So please remove your distraction. Make sure your microphone is on mute and turn on the video if possible. It is always good to see faces. As I mentioned, send your concerns or questions in the comment sections and will be taken up at the end. Use the option of raise hand to ask any question or concern at the end of the webinar when Dr. Maheshwari will be talking about it. I would like to invite our first speaker, Anuradha Nayak from Bhubaneswar. Welcome, Anuradha.
Thank you, Harsha. I would like to first thank you for giving me the opportunity today to come and share my story here. So, good afternoon, everyone. I am Anuradha and I am based out of Bhubaneswar, Odisha. And I am a working mom. I'm working in a university here. So, before starting my story, I want to say something like it wasn't a single incident that influenced me to change my lifestyle, my diet to a plant-based one. It was actually a couple of incidents. So growing up as a kid, I have always seen my parents feeding the strays, caring for them, and normally like we open gates during rainy season and summers or whenever we see stray, especially dogs standing outside our gate, we normally open it and since it's been so many years, they normally know they and we both of us know that they want to come in and maybe rest a while before wanting to go out again. So I have always seen this while growing up, and this was, I think, my first influence. Though at that time I didn't understand, I just thought it was quite normal thing, nothing extraordinary. I didn't, as a kid, didn't knew the term compassionate or anything. It was a way of life for me, for us. So my mother also feeds birds every single day on our terrace, and we keep water bowls and food for them. So it's a very normal thing in my family that my parents, my brothers, and me follow. So coming to my story now, as far as I can remember, I think I was in grade 5 when we had a teacher, a geography teacher, Sarita ma'am. So she, one day in class, she told us that we should all try to incorporate as much plant-based foods as we can, and less, or if possible, none of animal foods, since it was good for us, our health, and also since she had pets and she was like quite attached to them. I didn't have still, like, I think children are compassionate by nature. So I could relate to her. And she said that we should treat animals kindly and not harm them and everything. So that was the first case that I remember. And in the evening, when I got back from school, I told my mom that, Mom, this is what my ma'am has said. And I also want to do this from now on. And my mom was quite shocked actually. She said, What are you talking about? And who knows what will happen? I don't have any idea. And what will happen to your growth and nutrition and everything. So, no, we are not going to do this, or you are not going to do that. And I'll not hear you speak about this again. We are being of traditional mindset, the way people are. So, we are a little averse to any new like concept or idea, whatever. So she was quite natural in her response, I guess. I was actually disheartened, but I couldn't do anything as a kid, though that always stayed in my mind. Other than that, also, I have this memory of our father, like Sundays were our time, our bonding time with our father, especially the mornings. He used to take us out for shopping, and then we will have something, and we will stand at each shops and chit chat among us, and that was a very special time for us. So I remember him taking to butcher shops, and the scene there, it was horrible. My first time, I don't know exactly when it was that happened, but when I first saw the whole thing, the whole process over there, it really hit me hard. Like, I didn't like it a bit. I came back home, and again, fearing what my mother will say in response to my experience, I kept quiet. I didn't say anything. But from that day itself, I stopped eating meat. And when my mother said what happened, I said that I'm not feeling okay. I don't want to eat, and my tummy is full. Any excuse from that day on, I said I don't like it anymore. Though I continued other sources of protein, meat, eggs, and everything, I didn't relate. I just related to this thing because I saw the picture over there. Again, moving on, like into adulthood, in 2008, we got a pet dog. And very soon, I always wanted a pet, but both my parents are working, so they couldn't make time between, they couldn't like, they said it is not possible shuffling between our work and taking care of three kids and again taking care of a pet at home. And most of the times nobody used to stay at our home, so he would be left alone. So this was a genuine thing that they said, and we understood, but I always wanted a pet. So when finally we got a pet in 2008, we all became very soon attached with him. And I think this is what it does to you when you become attached to one animal. It completely changed our way of looking at other animals, completely changed our perception. And automatically, it was like nobody said anything. It just came into mind, like the way other animals are treated, and the what about the animals who are on road. And like it was a kind of connection going on inside not only my head, other people in my home also. So from that, it led on to like I also have this habit of going through random articles. So I just Googled about animals in general, their treatment, and about plant-based foods, because the idea that my ma'am had put, it was always there in my head. So I just started Googling about it, and I saw that the normal notion that we have, that it wouldn't cater to all our nutritional needs and everything, it was not true actually. And that all the, except B12, I think all the other nutrients we can get it from plant-based diets. So for that also we can take help of vitamin supplement or anything. So then I started, I just thought of like this time I am going to change it. I'll not wait anymore because I have lost so many years and I really want to do it. So at that time, I was a hardcore non-vegetarian, but still, the only thing that I was concerned about, because I was that I was really like I had this real weakness for chocolates and ice creams and tea, milk tea. So still, I thought I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to start it. So overnight, I changed my diet and switched to a plant-based diet. And normal, I think the way our Indian food is, like rice, dal, sabzi, and everything, there was no problem at all as far as our daily food items are considered. For cravings and everything, also we have our traditional foods. And also, I saw that since if once you connect to the idea behind it, that is compassion, taste doesn't matter anymore. So it was, I think, around in 2016, actually, April, I changed my lifestyle. I started trying to incorporate alternatives, though I wasn't very successful at it because I'm not a very good cook. But still, I maintained it, and now it's around 5 years, and I don't have any health issues, no nutritional deficiency, though I do take vitamin supplement and calcium supplement from time to time. So that is basically my story. Other than that, my father has also become like shifted some to some extent. Since 4 years, he has been doing so. And when I was about to have my daughter, so I did give it a thought, like how I'm going to like make her accept this lifestyle, because as a mom I was quite worried about her growth, and my family was also quite worried like how it would affect her. Though googling, I heard about stories, there are many moms around the world who had been raising plant children on a plant based diet for several years. Still I couldn't find much articles about like how I should do it. I was a bit worried. I didn't want to leave anything out. I didn't want it to affect my kid in any adverse way. So, giving in to my family's wishes, I let her have normal foods like eggs and fish and everything, dairy included. But over the years, like the way she is very curious by nature, and she, whenever I'm reading something or watching a video, she always comes and asks what is this and what is that, and why don't you eat, don't you miss out on these things. She'll always keep asking me, and I said that no. And she used to ask me like how is it possible, these are so tasty things, don't you miss the taste? I used to tell her no, I don't, because of the theory behind it. So taste doesn't matter anymore to me. So when I explained it to her, I never forced it on her, because I don't think that works long term. If you force someone to do something, if they don't understand the idea behind it, are not aware of the concept behind it, I don't think it works. This is my personal view. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I wanted her to change of her own. And thankfully, it has been so till now. About a year ago, she herself stopped eating non-veg like food items. She told me that I don't want to do it anymore. And when I asked her back, like, what about your taste? And she said that, Mama, it doesn't taste like the way it used to. I don't see it as a food now anymore. Like how I told her, I said, I don't just see it as food. And once I start eating it, putting it in my mouth, my mind began saying different things, and I don't like it anymore. I want to be like you. I don't want to harm animals. But she added that, how can I leave ice creams and chocolates and everything? So I said that being this Bhubaneswar being a small town, we don't have a lot of alternative options available commercially over here. Though quite many videos are there in YouTube and everything about how to do it. I am not very good at my time management, so better than like going for it and doing something. Though I have tried sometimes, I try to like omit it. Let's do it. Let's try it. We will see later this way. And my she is also not so adamant like I wanted right now or something. So though we have been successful at making cakes and homemade chocolates, so we try to experiment, and she actually likes it. Recently, I made homemade chocolate out of cocoa powder and some nuts and seeds and everything, peanut butter. And she said that, Mom, it tastes really good. And she actually prefers those chocolates over the like dairy milk or whatever we get from shops, milk chocolates. she actually like prefers these things, and she said, "I'll make them always because I like it from now on." So it's been good for me. On my birthday also recently, my sister-in-law surprised me by making a cake out of whole wheat, because I'm quite averse to refined flour and processed food and everything. So she made a cake, whole wheat cake with mango pulp instead of dairy, butter, milk, and curd, everything. It was quite good actually. I was quite happy. My mom also sometimes, though I don't make any demands or show any inclination that I actually don't miss it also. But sometimes my mom makes traditional sweets and uses coconut milk instead of dairy product. And it feels really good because they are also accepting of the fact, though they have not been as successful as me incorporating this, but they do understand now. Initially they didn't understand this, but anyways, it has been a good journey, and I hope like soon she'll also be able to completely transition it in future. Also following this lifestyle, I hope we are like, she also wants, I think like every kid on this planet, she also wants a pet desperately, again due to the same reasons that my parents had. I am not able to keep a pet now, but I plan to have one in future. I'm also talking to her about adopting a stray instead of going to a shop and buying the normal breeds. So how it will change its life, and how we want to continue like caring, feeding for the strays. Like now also we do it, whenever we see an animal, especially dogs or cows with a maggot wound or something, it's like a very basic medicine that you have to use, and we put it till it like it is cured, and she also sees that and feels very happy that the animal is happy now. So I plan to do it in future also. I was a part of an animal shelter. I used to volunteer there physically before some years, but right now due to like she's small and my job, I am not able to go there, also because of the distance. It's quite far here, though still I am hopeful that soon I will be again, I'll be able to go there, also take my daughter with me because she also wants to go there and volunteer there. So
Amazing.
let's see how. I also want to make more dishes, like homemade dishes, alternatives. Let's see how it goes. I'm very excited about this whole thing even
Thank
now.
you so much.
And,
That is
and
great.
I'm
I think it is
really,
amazing.
yeah, I'm really excited to hear other stories here as well.
Thank you so much, Anuradha. I think I really like the point which you mentioned that you don't have to force your kid to do that. So thank you so much for
Right.
sharing your story with it. And we will move on to our next speaker. We have Rimjim Joshi. So Rimjim, over to you. Rimjim, are you there? If you are speaking, you might be
Yeah,
on mute. Yes, please.
now you can hear me?
Yes, I can absolutely hear you.
Okay. So, hello everyone, and thank you for having me here. And I am Rimjim Joshi. I am from Indore, the cleanest city of India, and it is also a very foodie city. Indore is also famous for its street food, and I was a foodie, and I was never a health conscious girl. Uh, so I never thought about going plant based. I never thought about all these things because I just was very casual about all these things. But few years back, uh, I didn't know that plant-based diet will bring such a positive change in my life. It actually started when me and my husband started feeding some stray dogs near our house. And eventually we just fell into love with them. And then we started feeding more strays, taking care of them, sterilizing them, vaccinating them. Then suddenly some residents had problem with us feeding the stray dogs, and that was the a issue with us. So we contacted many animal welfare groups, and then we came to know the abuse our strays go regularly in India. and we came to know about their rights. We thought that we should do something for them. And this is how we both, me and my husband, landed into animal welfare. Not exactly animal welfare, I'll call it dog and cat welfare, because we were working for them only. So one day when I was scrolling my Facebook wall, I saw a post regarding Yulin Dog and Cat Meat Festival. So I was so disturbed by that images. That is actually a meat festival which happens every year in Yulin, China. They torture, kill, and then eat dogs and cats. Even some of them are their pets. So I was very, very much disturbed, and I was shaken by that images that, like, how can somebody do this to their pets? How can somebody eat a dog or a cat? And while discussing with my husband, we just came to a point that like, we are feeling so bad because it's a dog, it's a cat, we can connect to it, we can look into their eyes, that's why we are feeling bad. What about the thousands of animals who are being slaughtered daily for our food habits? So actually that was the turning point. uh, on that day, I came to realize that I was so unfair with all those animals. I have never ever thought about them. I never have considered about them, because we are raised like this. Now we don't know, we don't understand, we don't care. So after that, we both researched about it. We saw some videos. We spoke to some of the plant-based activists. Um, I read about it, many blogs I read, and then I realized that I can save more and more animals while sitting at my own place in my own comfortable zone if I switch to plant-based diet. And it was not that difficult that time, I thought. But then when we decided we have to go plant-based, but when we started, my husband just switched within a second. Like, he from next day he stopped taking tea. He was a hardcore non-vegetarian, and he stopped everything instantly. But for me, it was initially it was actually difficult, and because craving for tea, coffee, that was I can't explain that. But gradually, when you see the face of that animals now, everything else goes well. So I stopped.
Rimjim, are you there? We are not able to hear you. Rimjim? I think there might be some network issue from her end. And Rimjim, can you start speaking if you are there? Okay, I'm so sorry for this inconvenience. So what we will do, we will try to hear another speaker story first, and once Rimjim comes back, she can complete hers. So Dr. Maheshwari, why don't you start with your story, and then we can go back again to Rimjim, and then we can have our session.
Sure. So
Thank you so much.
hello everyone, and thank you Harsha, everybody, for this opportunity to be on this honored platform to share our story and to give a little knowledge of what I know about plant-based protein. So to start with, I'll till my college days, it was all as usual. It was not special. So I was just like anybody having. Of course, I was a vegetarian from childhood, but I was having my milk, coffee, tea. It was all the same. I was just following the same. And with the profession, I am a naturopathy doctor. So once I started with my college, and even in the naturopathy, to some extent, we say we need to follow the plant-based diet. And there are some, particularly say you should not take milk, and it is not like everybody who follows totally a plant-based food. Of course, there is no non-vegetarian though. And then over the period of time after the college, and once I started my practice also, I was just, it was just going on. I was taking milk products and, of course, my family and all of us. It was all 6 years ago when I can remember. So I came across this, with the work as per the, like I gone through the study of this China study. I was reading a book of China study, an amazing book about plant-based diet and everything. And that was really a time, that was a turning point. I was thinking, okay, look at the researches, what is done on the plant-based diet, and and I need to imply this. I mean, I need to put this in my practice, right? So then slowly I started giving the absolute plant-based diet in my practice to my followers and my patients. Then it was like a drastic and dramatic results what I saw in my patients, right? Like it is not just very minute results like weight loss or any small things. I could see the reversal of diseases very quickly, right? It was too good of the results and everything. And I have this value, so whatever I preach, I need to practice, right? That feels good for me. So this value, it's like, yeah, no, I'm telling everybody to follow plant-based diet, don't take pizza, burger and everything. It is a time, yeah, I have to. Then of course it was very easy for me to leave everything else because I know the benefit of diet and health and everything, and I was practicing yoga and everything. But leaving tea, coffee was of course difficult. Though I thought, no, I'm telling my patients not to, and I'm not going to take it because it was not, going back, with my conscience, right? So that made me stop actually to start with. Yeah. But when I stopped this, whatever the reason could be, because I was, telling my patients not to, I stopped, and I could see dramatic changes in my health and fitness levels, right? Though I was practicing, it was a very healthy diet, what we used to usually, comparatively, there was not much oil or anything, all very healthy food in, the portion of vegetable foods, everything was fine. Even with the physical activity, I was very active and everything was there. But the moment I saw leaving and completely shifting to plant-based diet, the kind of energy I saw in my routine and, even in my health, I could see this was never there. There is something. Yeah, that experience itself made me like, okay, now this is it. I am not going to, take any animal products at all. And there's also, side by side, it was going on. My patients were practicing and I was practicing. I was seeing amazing results. So hand in hand, I was going through a lot of studies and, the documentaries and the books. It went on and on and on. And I was like, it was so passionate. I was seeing, okay, so this is it. I have to, keep going in it. Then even, this starts at home. Everybody, like my child was 3-4 years old then. So I was not so keen whenever she says, I don't want milk, good, no need, it's okay, leave it. Okay. So no, so it was like that. Then I was not very keen on giving her all this, milk products or so. At some point of time, I thought, no, I was telling her it is, not good. Or she used to even see me right at home that whenever the particular foodstuffs, I say, no, it has some milk, I don't want to take it. Then she could ask, I say, no. I used to think, okay, she may not be able to understand to an extent. It's like, no, I don't like whatever it has milk in it, right? So this started. And after that, some point of time, I also started following whole foods in the sense, it's not just plant-based foods. Along with that, like we don't use any kind of processed food products in whatever the food we cook, right? Like it could be white rice, it could be oil, it could be sugar, maida, any processed food. I was not using any of that, right? So it was more of vegetable, nuts, seeds, and whole foods. So this made, so I was, me, my husband, and my daughter, we were staying at Bhubaneswar. So I'm based in Bhubaneswar right now. And so I used to make 2 meals, right? Even though I was working, I was like, no, I want to experiment. I have to follow the whole foods only. So I was making whole foods without oil, without white rice or maida and all that for me. And little bit of oil and, like standard diet for my husband. So he used to like, why are you cooking two things, right? So why don't you have this? I told, no, I can't have this because I made my mind. If you want, please try mine too. You can just see. He's like, whenever he used to have his food, he used to try mine also. Then he was like, not much difference, right? So yours is good too. Why don't you make one dish of yours? So this started in one of the meals. It was completely whole foods. Then it continued, and he started seeing the difference in his day-to-day routine, right? Then he was like, I'm not getting sleep after my lunch, I'm feeling much active, I think there is something in it. Then he told, why don't you just do whole foods for all of us? Then it started, and of course he dropped some 13 kilos of weight, and he was so active. He was like, then he became a propagator. No, 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 we are only following this, no more animal product. I don't want tea, I don't want oil. So it all came, everybody, it was all choice by everyone. So everyone took by their own choice. So there was no compulsion. It was all, it came just with the flow. So coming to my daughter, she was, milk was totally stopped in our home, because me and my husband, we were not taking, and no curd, buttermilk, nothing. But she used to like ghee, right? So she used to put it on her roti. So for the 6 months, even after we leave all those things, so we used to get the ghee, because she was like, she used to like eating it. And she used to see us whenever we eat that we don't take ghee, right? And she used to keep asking, okay. So there was one time the ghee got over, and we were like thinking, okay, we need to get ghee for Arohi. My daughter's name is Arohi. So we need to get ghee for her. Then she said, no, I don't think so. I want it. She said, it's like, why? No, I think it is okay. I don't want. Then we didn't force her, right? So it went on. And after she stopped this ghee and everything, I could see, generally kids get this seasonal outbreaks of cold, cough, and all this often. But I was seeing her health being too good compared to, overall, right? Like it was not, Rajagud, I used to see her being very active and not getting all those acute, symptoms often. That reduced a lot. Then it was really a good confidence for me too. And I was like, okay. Then she used to take this milk in school, right? School, or if somebody gives chocolate and all that. But it was not never at home. At home, there was no milk or curd, nothing. Everything was stopped though. Then one day we went to our native place, there was this milking of the cow was going on, right? So that was the time I just took her and I showed her, because, there was, I don't believe in giving theories and lectures. So it is all just experience and practice, right? So I just showed her, just see, what is happening. So it is, they leave the calf first, and they, pull the calf away, and then, they start milking, and we take the milk. I just told. So why, what is this happening? She's like, yeah, she understood. The milk of the cow is for its own children, and we are taking it and we are drinking. It is not good. And it was very, very easy for her. And kids are naturally compassionate. We don't have to teach them at all. It is we who are supposed to learn from them, right? So this is what I realized. And it was very obvious for her. It's like, no, it's not good. What they're doing is not good. That milk is not for us. It is for its own babies. And that's the end.
That's
She
amazing to hear.
herself is very, active with, not taking milk products now. She's, but nobody pushes or nobody says anything, but she says, no, I don't want to take it as milk. And then, of course, the challenges of, no, I want to have chocolate and ice cream and everything. Then the kitchen of our home became a lab, and we became like, we started experimenting. It became a beautiful hobby of the whole family. So all of us became some, chefs, including her. She became like a little master chef. Even now, if she wants something, she'll just go to the kitchen, put some cashews and cacao powder, some coconut milk, blend it, and make some milkshake and some chocolate.
Amazing.
She just she has that liberty at home, so she can do that. So this is a small story. Of course,
Thank you so much.
Tremendous results with my patients too once they started plant-based diet. Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maheshwari. And I think it was wonderful to hear your story. I think now we can move to the session that you wanted to have. And I would like to introduce Dr. Maheshwari as she is founder of Samatva Holistic Health, which is an integrative medicine physician specializing in the field of naturopathy, yoga, and fitness, plant-based nutrition. She has worked in many reputed naturopathy and yoga hospitals and as a senior expert at Health by Me. She is currently working as a Chief Medical Officer at Health Village Nature Cure Center, Bhubaneswar. Passionate with her work, she is treating thousands of patients and inspiring many health enthusiasts. Not only the professional front, but she is also following whole food plant-based diet along with her husband and 7-year-old daughter. She believes in minimalism, sustainable, and mindful living. I think this has been a wonderful story from your end. And now I would like to request you to tell some facts about the plant protein diet to our audience. So Supi, you can stop the screen share. Dr. Maheshwari can start screen sharing from her own. Thank you so much.
So I hope the screen is visible and I'm audible. Harsha?
I think this will be difficult. I'll do one thing. I have your presentation. Maybe I can do it.
I think I
you can.
started screen share.
Yeah, but it is coming very small since you're sharing it from the mobile phone.
Okay, you can do
So
that.
can you just send me quickly, maybe over the
I'm
WhatsApp
just,
or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just do
Thank
that.
you.
Yes, Harsha, it's done.
Yes, I'm just screen sharing it. Apologies for the inconvenience. I'll just do it.
Same here. I think you can start the share and I'll just start, So
yes, you can start
wait.
speaking.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, sorry for the inconvenience, everyone. Once we talk about, we start telling if anybody like we are following plant-based diet or we are vegetarians also. The first question anybody asks is, where do you get your protein from? Right? That is the first thing anybody would ask. Like people think, that it's a like obsession nowadays. The protein is a obsession, right? Perhaps it's like it's a monetized nutrient, I can say, on this planet now. So everywhere you can see people selling protein powder and all the things related to protein. That word itself is so monetized. So there is a conflicting information and a plethora of protein packed products you see, which is sold. Okay. So before we just get into the in depth about it, let's know what is protein mainly. What are proteins? Whenever we keep talking about what are proteins, so there are macronutrients in the food what we eat, and there are micronutrients. These are the basics, we know. And talking about the macronutrients, we know it is carbohydrates and proteins and fats, right? And talking about the micronutrients, there are vitamins and minerals and all that, right? So protein is one of the macronutrients. Okay. So, and it is composed of amino acids. So I'm just giving a very light, simple basic of what protein is. the amino acids we have 20 main amino acids, where we need 8 of them are essential and another 12 are non-essential. The meaning of essential is those 8 amino acids are supposed to be, what we are supposed to get it from outside, like through our food, right? It is not that it is produced in the body. And the 12 amino acids are non-essential. It means, we don't have to give it through the diet. It doesn't mean the other 12 are non-essential. It is just that we don't have to give it with the, with the diet what we eat. So this is about, and we need protein for a lot of functions. Like if anybody asks why do we need protein, the main reason is for the growth and development. Okay, so whenever we talk about growth, we should remember the growth is for children, isn't it? So children are supposed to grow. So we need to think the proteins are mainly for children for their growth. Okay. So also growth is one of the thing. Even disease grows, right? So growth, whenever it comes, we need to remember it is not just the health, even the disease grows. So proteins are responsible for everything. If we take too much of proteins, remember we're gonna get disease too. So this is one of the things, and proteins are also necessary for the repairing our body tissue. So once we are adults, it is not that we don't need proteins. We do need proteins, because every day there are wear and tears, there are repairs, has to happen in the body. So the proteins are responsible for the repair of our body tissues also. And there are a lot of functions which proteins are, protein does to the body. And for the formation of enzymes and hormones, and even for our immune system, for defense, transportation, everything the proteins are needed, even to detoxification, all of that we need protein for sure. And the energy also, the proteins also give us energy, right? It is not that they don't give us calories or energy, but that is not the main function of protein though, right? So we are supposed to get the energy from the carbohydrates, and we also store fat, right? We have fat reservoirs, but proteins are not supposed to be used for that is not the main function of protein, all right? But however, when we don't give enough calories to the body, then the body might use the muscles for the, the proteins in the muscles, or for the energy. Next slide, please. So we need to know what is the recommended allowance for the protein for our body. So as per the RDA, we just need 15 to 20% of total calories of our meal per day from proteins. That's it. We only need 15 to 20%, not more. That means we need 0.8 gram of, per kg per body weight is for the non-vegetarians, and for vegetarians it is 1 gram per kg per day. So approximately you can think, like, if some of you are, your weight is 60 kilos, okay, then you would need approximately 60 gram. You can even take 50 gram, 0.8, if you can consider 50 to 55 gram of protein per day is more than it. And you should not consider the weight you are in now. That means if you are 100 kilo, you don't need to take 100 gram of protein. Okay. So you need to check what is your height. Yeah. So if you are weighing 160 centimeter, you need to subtract it from 100. I mean, you need to subtract 100 from your height. If you are 160 centimeter minus 100. Okay. So then it comes as 60. That should be your ideal weight. For that, you need to take your protein. That should be your daily recommended protein. A few kilos here extra, that is not this thing, but ideal weight should be, this is how you can calculate. Okay, next slide. Even NSDA says you need to take around 10 to 35% of protein also, but 35% is too much. We don't need that much of protein though. So what are the sources of protein? So we get, of course, the animal sources, that is through the meat and eggs and milk and milk products, also animal sources. And the plant sources, there are nuts, fruits, vegetables, green leaves, pulses and grams and dals and even grains. From, we get to the plant sources, we get from all these sources. So why I stressed on milk and milk products is many people think milk and milk products are, it's vegetarian and it is as though it is coming from plants. Not really, right? Even that comes from animals. It is no less than, non-veg. That is the reason, if you can observe, the non-vegetarians and vegetarians are getting same kind of health issues. The reason is the milk and milk products, right? Okay. So what are the benefits of plant proteins? So I don't want to focus too much on the animal protein here. Let me just focus more on the plant proteins benefits itself. So you can just, okay. So the plant proteins helps in reducing cholesterol level. It means the animal protein, what we get, is also coming with the cholesterol. Okay. Animal protein, that means the meat and the dairy, it is not just having protein. It doesn't have fiber. It is full of cholesterol, right? So whenever we take animal protein, thinking, okay, egg and meat has a lot of, protein in it. We should also see the protein just doesn't come just like that, with the meat and egg and everything. It is not only the protein we get when we eat it. Side by side, we also get a lot of cholesterol and, it is too acidic and all that. But when we take the plant protein, okay, the foodstuffs which are rich in the diet, rich in plant protein, this in fact reduces the cholesterol of this, okay? And there are no stress. Yeah, so I'll just go quickly, Harsha. Yeah, so there are no stress hormones in the plant protein. So whenever we take any kind of animal protein, it is definitely with the stress of that what animal has, but plant protein doesn't have so. And it is very good for the bone strength and it prevents cancer. So the animal protein, you take it non-veg or milk and everything, they are cancer promoting. Nowadays, we see a lot of cancer, people are getting too much of cancer. That is because of all this animal protein itself. It is too much of a protein what they're getting from the wrong source. But when we take the plant protein, it actually reduces or prevents cancer. And it is full of fiber. It is like it cleanses the system, right? So it comes along with the fiber. The plant foods are full of fiber. And it helps in speedy recovery. It has a lot of antioxidants and minerals and vitamins. And it is alkaline in nature. So our human body is in fact alkaline in nature. And plant proteins are alkaline, which is conducive environment to the body. Next slide, please. So here are some of the plant sources. If somebody thinks, okay, we don't get the protein if we take plant foods, it is not at all the fact. We get a lot of, we get enough protein if we take plant-based food. Take, for example, peanuts, almonds, and tofu. You take all the dals and grams, lentils. Mainly, you look at the chickpeas. It has 7.5 grams of protein, and you can take quinoa, so many things, all the pistachio, all the sprouts. It will give us the bioavailability of protein. That means the body can actually use the protein better when we soak the nuts and especially the pulses and when we sprout them. Okay, and all the seeds which are easily available in our kitchen. You take sesame seeds, you take hemp seeds, chia seeds, and flax seeds. All the nuts and seeds also have a lot of protein. And in Indian meals, right, it is not difficult for us to take the plant protein. We take, you take idli, sambar, dosa, rice, dal, paratha, anything. It is, it is also well done where it's in a regular Indian meal. I'll tell you, if people think you have to take protein powder, you have to take animal products for the protein, not really. Per day, if you're taking one meal, you take 2 roti, which has approximately 6 gram of protein. You take a cup of dal, it has approximately 8 gram of protein. You take 2 cup of vegetable, you will get 4 gram of protein. And green leaves, you will get another 4 to 6 gram of protein. Overall, in one meal, you will get 20 gram of protein, which is a standard Indian meal I'm talking about. And we take 3 meals and 60 gram of protein is done. And that is more than enough for us. We don't have to take extra protein powder, which are too difficult for our liver and kidneys to process and metabolize. So we need to think whenever we take protein powder or animal based proteins, extra in our diet. Next slide, please. And if you think the kids are growing, they need too much protein, or I'm an athlete and I'm working out and all that, you can check so many world champions, including, we heard, even Virat Kohli, and so many champions are also taking only plant-based proteins, and they're doing extremely well, right? Serena Williams and there's so many people, and and the kind of lifestyle what we are leading right now, we don't even move for a long time, and we are not even exercising vigorously for 2 to 3. I'm talking in general, right? 2 to 3 hours per day. We don't do that, so we don't need too much of protein at all, right? Next slide, please. See these animals, yeah. So they're strongest, they're fastest, and even those animals doesn't take protein powder, and they don't eat animals either. They're not even non-vegetarians. They just eat plants, right? And they're stronger. So where do they get their protein from? So it is not just what we eat, right? And you can even see some of the documentaries. They're really informative. You can check Cowspiracy, Game Changers, and what the hell. There are so many documentaries and so many research papers available, and there are so many people whom you can discuss with, and we're all available for the same. So you can start including plant-based protein, and even the food. We have a lot of alternatives if you want to relish any kind of the plant-based food. It could be ice creams or chocolates or sweets or snacks. It is possible to do. It's not a big deal. It's not a rocket science. You just have to be willing to adopt a healthy diet and lifestyle. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah. So I'm open for questions. If anybody have any questions, you can ask me related to the
Thank you so much,
plant-based
Dr.
proteins also.
Maheshwari. Yes, we have questions from the audience, so you can type it in the chat, and Dr. Maheshwari will be happy to answer your queries. So we have some queries from the registrations. I'll just repeat them, Dr. Maheshwari, for your end. So some of the registrants have asked us questions, which is majorly based upon someone has asked, what are the ways of increasing iron in vegetarian children, and what is the impact of plant protein on the digestive system?
Okay. So increasing the iron content, they can take beans and lentils and tofu and even baked potatoes. If for the children, it is very easy for them to give the baked potatoes and even dark green leafy vegetables. They are rich in it, right? So taking them, and whole grain foods. I always focus on giving whole grain, wherein all kind of grains or dals, whatever we generally take them with polished, right? So that doesn't have any micronutrients or minerals in it. So when we take it as much as possible, it's near to nature. Like instead of ripping it off, the fiber, the skin of it, even the vegetable and fruits, we generally peel off the skin and we use, right? So there is not just the fiber. A lot of nutrients are just below the skin of the vegetable and fruits, so which we actually rip off. So this is one of the basic things we need to start implementing, that using the vegetables with the peel. Wash very well. Don't worry about the pesticides or anything. If the pesticide is there, it would be there deep in, not just on the skin. Just we need to soak it in the water for 20 minutes and use vegetables and fruits with the skin on, and using a different vegetable, all colored vegetables. It's not using the same kind of vegetables every day. That will also improve it. And the other thing is the proteins digestion, right? The human body, it is easy for us to digest the plant foods. That's how the digestive system is made. Okay, look at our teeth. When you compare to the animals, the carnivores' teeth, it is not, you can see from the teeth, even our whole digestive system is meant for having plant-based food. That is one of the things. And compared to non-veg, we don't have so much of acid in our stomach to digest the non-vegetarian food. So it is easy to actually digest the plant foods itself. And remember, whenever you start the plant foods, you are started to take too much of fiber or sprouts or vegetables. In the beginning, people start to experience a lot of gas or all these gastric issues or so. But still, it is okay. That is a normal thing to happen because we are not used to take so much, and the gut bacteria are not used to that. Over the period of time, we get used to it. Slowly, we need to increase the amount of fiber because plant foods has a lot of fiber in them. So it's a basic problem what everybody faces, but it is not a big deal. So increasing the plant protein slowly, yeah, day by day we
Thank
need
you.
to increase. Yeah.
So there is one more question that dahi has probiotics. If we were to take a plant-based alternative, what could be the better option?
Yes. Okay. So this is one of the again major concerns everybody asks. How can we even people say dahi buttermilk will keep them cool and they will not get prebiotics if it is not we don't take dahi or anything. So it is not just the gut bacteria what we take from outside. There is so much already there in our gut. So there is what we say prebiotic and probiotic, right? So probiotics we take in the form of curd and everything, and the gut bacteria actually thrive on fiber. So if we take too much of fiber, I mean, when we take plant proteins or plant-based diet, the bacteria which are already there, which will multiply in your gut. So you don't have to take too much of it. However, you can take sprouts. You can take kimchi, homemade pickles, and idli. Those are the regular meal is more than enough. You don't have to only rely on taking curds or anything. However, we give some alternatives of even plant-based milk curds also. So yeah, that is also available.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Maheshwari. I think we are moving to the end of the time, so I won't be taking any more questions. Dr. Maheshwari, if you feel like you can reply them to the chat if possible for you. And now I would like to request Vasanti from STRA to say a few words about the event and how to be kind and nurturing in this compassionate event. Vasanti, are you there? Yes.
Okay, I have a small little presentation, which with a real quick one about I think about 7-8 slides. So I like
Yes,
to
please.
share this thing because I think pictures,
Absolutely. Just be little quick because we are already approaching to the
I
end of
understand.
the event. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, this is about nurturing kind kids. Let me put it on a. Yeah, can you see this? Okay, this is about nurturing kind kids actually. So, when we are always talking about successful kids, and we are kind kids is something that, it comes a little slowly. Well, this thought came about to me when I had been to a veterinarian's place and I got to see this placard on his wall, which said that work hard and always be kind. But this actually set me thinking because as a parent, I went back to my days when I was parenting. I mean, my son was growing up, and I was thinking to myself like how many times I might have told him to do work hard, and how many times I might have told him to be kind. So when looking back, I was thinking I feel that I have told him many more times to work hard, to be successful, than to be kind. So I think as we go on, we tend to talk about it. And if I look back at my own life, I feel that work hard is something like every parent tells. But being kind is something that one should feel, and it has to be, there's a way of doing it. So I just put it down in slides here. So here, one of the things that a parent should always, get the child to do. If you want child to do anything, you must start walking on that path. This is what I learned as a parent, that if you start walking on the path that you want your child to walk on, the child automatically walks on that path. So if you want a child to get on to plant-based food, then like many of the others who spoke just now, you yourself should get on to that. And I think though the explanation came out very clearly, the children started walking automatically on that path. Similarly, of being kind also, if you show the similar path to children, the children will also walk on that path of kindness. This is a golden rule which we follow even in the case of animal welfare, which we say that it is it's a biblical rule, but it comes from the Bible, but I think this is a rule that can be followed by anybody and everybody. Do unto others what you want others to do unto you. If you want, if you're seeking other people to be kind to you, you want other people to be good to you, then it's important that you also are good to the other people. And as far as animals are concerned, I think it's automatic that you have to be good to them. This is what I was telling you earlier. We are raising kind children. We are talking about successful children. It's very important. It's a very important fact that we have to raise successful children. But at the same time, it's important to raise kind children because it makes them an asset to the society. In today's time, when we are, we would have seen parents running from pillar to post, taking their kids from one activity to another activity, academics to sports to music to whatnot. Then, the showing them the path of kindness kind of takes a backseat. So I think parent should, it's very important for the parent to show them the path of kindness along with their activities of, being a successful, grow up successfully. So that's very important. So I put together a few tips for raising kind kids, and maybe it will be helpful for parents with very young children. It is something like observe and appreciate. It's very self-explanatory. Though if you all can read it, it must be easy. This would encourage children to engage much more in behaviors and also help notice other people's acts of kindness. Make kindness your priority. Make a gratitude journal. That is, you make, whenever a child does anything, say, send a thank you note. So the child automatically emulates you, also tells you a thank you. Teach them to pay it forward. Pay it forward, what it means is, every time a child receives a gift, let the child kind of be obligated to give one of the child's gift to maybe a more deserving child. Pay it forward. That way, what happens is the child learns how to give things. And the other child also becomes happy. It's an act of kindness. And also the child learns from it. Then it is teach them to smile and greet. This is very important. I've seen many kids who, I do not know why, but they never greet, they never smile. And that makes the whole place not a very happy place. So I think parents should encourage that, because smiling and greeting somebody is very, very infectious. And I found this thing like making a generosity jar was very, very interesting thing. Make a jar of kindness and add a post to it. Like whenever their child does something kind, just make a note of it and put it in the jar. And when the child does something thoughtful, you can actually take out that jar and show it to them. Look what you've done. You've done so many acts of kindness. It kind of resonates with the child, and it goes on adding up. And the child feels good about it and continues to do those kind of acts of kindness. Another slide here. Again, it's continuing from the previous one. It's especially in India, I find that this does not happen in many homes. That is getting the children to do household chores. This is very relevant, particularly in homes where there are helpers. Helpers doing it, so child does not just get the opportunity to do it. I think that because this is also an act of kindness, the child learns a lot. Okay, I must help my mama with this particular thing, and that continues to be there all their life. In fact, teach them to compliment. When a child wins a game against you, compliment the child. It's a kind of a model of kindness. And when the child loses, compliment them for how well they have tried. So, the child learns from you, walking on the path that you showed them, and then they do that with their peers. Teach them to be kind to animals. This is, again, because even we have to teach them even to be kind to tiny living creatures like, ants and worms and beetles, grasshoppers. you teach them to be kind to these small creatures, they will tend to be kind to the other creatures as well as to their peers, and it goes on from there. Because it's very easy, the ant, poor thing, it's so easy to squash it. So, teaching them not to do that is a very important aspect. Don't teach a child to donate their old toys. This is as simple as that. I think I don't have to tell anything more. Set kindness goals for every week. Like, it can be simple tasks like, let's open the door for this old person who's carrying too many things. Let's help the person out. Or, in fact, here's rescuing an ant from a puddle or helping a peer to do his homework. So these are all little acts of kindness. When they do it, then it kind of becomes a habit over time. This is an important thing. Put the focus on feelings. Children and adolescents do not learn kindness, or they do not learn, or they do not think about kindness, but it is a feeling, and it is best learned by feeling it. That is, the parent should be able to make the child feel that, that they're being kind. So then once the feeling comes, then they understand this, and I think whatever children learn in their childhood, it continues with them. They take it with them all along, all their life, which is there. I find that even when they grow up, I think what they've learned in childhood, that becomes a reflex action actually. So it's important for people with their small children to remember this and to, inculcate kindness in children so that they become kind human beings. Yeah, this is my little presentation. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Vasanti. Thank you so much. I would request Gajendra Sharma, Country Director of India Office, World Animal Protection, to quickly wrap up the session and say a few words about the event. Thank you.
Thank you, Harsha, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Especially, I would like to thank all the speakers for sharing their inspiring stories. It was really interesting to hear how each and every one of you have gone through this process of moving from animal protein to plant-based protein. I think, it's really important that sometime whenever we move into something new, and what we say there is a change, it is difficult in the beginning, but it always have a long-lasting benefits. And I think we can see all that coming out from each and every story we heard today here. Also, I would like to thank all the participants for taking part in this and asking some really interesting questions, which is very practical things we should know. Raising children and something which is in today's world, it's a bit challenging when both parents are working and we have very busy lifestyle these days. So some really interesting tips shared by Vasanti with all of us, which will certainly help everyone. Without taking much of the time, all this conversation actually reminds me a famous quote from Mahatma Gandhi, which reads that a greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. And now, whose responsibility it is to treat those animals? It's all of us as a human being. And I think what we do in our individual life by changing our own behavior or habits towards animal makes some difference. But at the same time, I think sharing these stories and how you actually made that change possible in your own life will probably inspire many more to probably follow your path and guidance. So we at World Animal Protection try to bring people to share their views and stories and inspire each other, so we can actually move more and more people to help animals and protect animals. And I hope each and every individual attending today this webinar will go back and share how useful and interesting this particular webinar was. And whatever you have learned here, and the speakers who have shared their stories here, I would request all of you to share it in your network, in office and personal and social network, which will, I think, help more and more people to know about the problems and what are the possible solutions. Sometimes it's difficult for people to suddenly move from animal protein to plant-based protein. So they can, make it a steps-by approach from reduction from animal protein and towards slowly moving towards plant-based protein. And maybe to start looking for high welfare animal products and then reduce the animal protein, and they won't be far when you will be able to 100% on plant-based protein. Once again, thank you so much for your time, and thank you once again, all the speakers, all the participants, and each and everyone involved in organizing this webinar, especially Harsha and Vashanti for coming out with this idea. This is the first of a kind event we have organized, and I hope we will be able to have such more platform and events where people would be able to share their individual stories. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vedendra. Before leaving, I would request you to do the poll, which must be coming up on your screen. And I have shared a link in the chat. Feel free to sign up for the pledge. And thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Harsha.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mohan. Thank you.